Hello from Kingfisher, Oklahoma. Today we're looking at Exodus 22 and 23, and we have 10 things to talk about. First, remember, as we're going through the law, it's all about justice. Pure, simple justice. You do this, here is the consequence and punishment for it. You don't do that, here's the consequence. It's straightforward. A equals B. A equals B every time. So it's pretty straightforward. Number two, we see some of the consequences about a thief. If a thief is caught stealing, then he's to pay the price for it. If somebody, he breaks into somebody's house and is killed in the process, usually murder requires blood for blood. But if they're breaking in to steal something, no blood is required to make it right. Number three, if you do something, if you use something, you're supposed to replenish it. If your ox gets into your neighbor's acreage and eats some of the grass, you need to pay for it or offer some of the best of yours in payment. You don't just get things for free. You don't take advantage of other people. You pay for what you use. Number four, there are many sexual laws, something America breaks on the regular. Summing it up as we go through the law, it's very easy. A biological man marries a biological woman, and then they're allowed to have sex after they're married. That's it. Plain and simple. Now, there are various punishments given for consequences depending on what it is that you do, and we're going to see a little bit of that there, but it does come much later. Number five, at the giving of the law, we see now, as opposed to Genesis, we had some very close relatives getting married, but now we see and are going to see as we dive into the law section here that becomes more well-defined. Certain close relationships are no longer allowed to be married. Number six, witchcraft is not allowed. Any sort of witchcraft, divination, fortune telling, God does not allow that, because there's only two possibilities. Either you're serving God and He by the Holy Spirit can give you prophecy, or you're doing witchcraft of the devil. Those are your only two options. And so obviously we do not want the devil having any authority in our life. Number seven, widows, orphans, and strangers are mentioned. And this is going to be huge in the Bible, over and over and over. God always says, especially about widows and orphans, I want to protect them. I want you to care for them. You're to look out for them. Do everything you can for them. Strangers are foreigners to the land who don't know the laws. You're supposed to take care, make sure that they know what's happening as well. Number eight, we're getting some similar laws, some restatements, it will sound like, of what was already covered in what we call the Ten Commandments. But just sometimes restating it a different way gives us that extra perspective we need. We also see, number nine, we start seeing some specific feasts mentioned. In this particular section, there are 3 times that a man is required to be in the presence of God. Required. You have to do this. And that's the Feast of Unleavened Bread. That's the one where it signifies the removal of sin. 2, the Feast of First Fruits. Christ is the first fruits from among the dead. And the Feast of Ingathering, it says. And that's more towards the end of the year. It says 3 times you're required to be before God. Now you can be in God's presence more often, but those were the 3 times you were required to do it. And then 10, as they are moving off as a nation, God's going to put an angel in front of them to lead them. And he says, you do what the angel says, you're going to be blessed. Fear of you is going to be put on the nations. It's going to be amazing. So, let's read that now. Chapter 22. If a man steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep 4 sheep. That's somebody else's. If a thief be found breaking up and be smitten that he die, there shall be no blood shed for him. Again, he broke into your place and he gets killed, or he falls through your roof and dies. Tough. He was trying to steal from you. If the sun be risen upon him, there shall be blood shed for him, for he should make full restitution. So if you catch him in the daylight, then he has to pay for what? Yeah, if he breaks in at night, it's his own fault. But if he breaks in the day and you catch him, he has to pay for it. If the theft be found in his hand alive, whether it is ox or ass or sheep, it shall be restored double. If a man cause a field or vineyard to be eaten, and shall put in his beast, and shall feed another man's field, and the best of his own field, and of the best of his own vineyard, he will make restitution. You use someone else's stuff, you got to pay for it. If fire breaks out and catch in thorns, so that the stacks of corns, or the standing corn, or the field be consumed wherewith, he that kindled the fire shall surely make restitution. You're in arson, you pay for it. If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and to be stolen out of the man's house, if the thief be found, let him pay double. If the thief not be found, then the master of the house shall be brought unto the judges to see whether he have put his hand to his neighbor's goods. So you got to make sure that you're not stealing when somebody lends you something to hold for them. For all manner of trespass, whether it be ox or ass or sheep, for raiment or any manner of lost thing which another challengeth to be his, the cause of both parties shall come before the judges, of whom the judges shall condemn, and he shall pay double his neighbor. It's a good thing Moses just was setting up judges, right? Because now they're going to be put to use in these cases. If a man deliver unto his neighbor an ass or an ox or a sheep or a beast to keep, and it die or be hurt or driven away, no man seeing it, then shall an oath of the Lord be put between both, that he hath not put his hand unto his neighbor's goods, and the owner of it shall accept thereof, and he shall not make it good. And if it be stolen from him, he shall make restitution unto thereof. And if it be torn to pieces, let him bring it for witness, and he shall not make good what is torn. So if you've lent somebody and, a cow, and it's eaten by wolves or coyotes or something, then you just say, here's the carcass. That's not my fault. I didn't steal it. If a man borrow aught of his neighbor, and it be hurt or die, the owner thereof being not with it, he shall surely make it good. So you got to protect the stuff you borrow. But if the owner thereof be with it, he shall not make it good. If it be a hired thing, it came before his hire. Hey, I paid you to borrow your lawnmower and it broke. Sorry, that's just how it goes. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall then endow her to be his wife. So she's single. He lays with her, now he's got to marry her. That's where we get it from. If her father utterly refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of the virgins. The father gets to protect her from a bad marriage if he thinks it right. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Whosoever lieth with a beast shall surely be put to death, and the beast also. That's in another spot. He that sacrifice unto any god, save the Lord only, he shall be utterly destroyed. Thou shalt neither vex a stranger nor oppress him, for you're strangers in the land of Egypt. Got to take care of the strangers. Ye shall not afflict any widow, fatherless child. Got to take care of widows and orphans. If thou afflict them in any wise, and they cry out to me at all, I will surely hear their cry. Then my wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword. And your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. I think we want God on our team, so let's take care of widows and orphans. If you lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee, they shall not be to him as a usurer, neither shall you lay upon him usury. So, hey, don't if you lend somebody money, you're not supposed to collect interest off them if they're poor. If thou at all take thy neighbor's raiment to pledge, thou shalt deliver it unto him by the time the sun goeth down. For that is his covering only, and it is his raiment for his skin. Wherein shall he sleep? And it come to pass when he crieth out to me that I will hear, for I am gracious. So if somebody wants to borrow something from you and they leave their coat or cloak as a pledge, you give it back to them before the sun goes down so they can still be warm, especially if they're poor. Now, if they have 2 or 3 cloaks and they say, here, you hold this one, that's a different story. But if it's the only one, goodness gracious, you got to take care of that person. Thou shalt not revile the gods, nor curse the ruler of thy people. Don't curse your rulers. God put them in authority, even if you don't like them. Thou shalt not delay to offer the first of thy ripe fruits and of thy liquors. This is the tithe, people. Whether fruit or alcohol or whatever, you are to offer a tithe to God, and don't be late. That's what it says right there. The firstborn of thy son shall take thou and give to me. Likewise thou shalt do with thine oxen, with thy sheep. 7 days it shall be with his dam. On the 8th day thou shalt give it to me. So on the 8th day you're supposed to give to God the firstborn. Remember they said that? Every sheep, every son. And ye shall be a holy man unto me. Neither shall you eat any flesh that is torn of the beasts of the field. You shall cast it to the dogs. Back to the firstborn son thing. You could redeem your son from God by giving him the price for it. You didn't have to, okay, God, he's yours, and just leave him. You could redeem it, and that's consistent theme. Thou shalt not raise a false report. Put not thy hand to the wicked, and to be an unrighteous witness. Tell the truth in a situation. Thou shalt not follow the multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many, to wrest judgment. Neither shalt thou countenance a poor man in his cause. Okay, so a couple things here. You need to tell the truth in a situation so that justice is there. You don't need to, for your own gain, tell lies. And you don't need to take the poor's word just because he's poor. And just because a man is poor or because a man is rich doesn't mean you should give them extra consideration. Justice needs to be done in the situation. If thou meet thy enemy's ox or his ass going astray, thou shalt surely bring it back to him again. If thou see the ass of him that hateth thee lying under the burden, and thou wouldst forbear to help him, thou shalt surely help him. So you need to help even your enemy with things. Just because he's your enemy doesn't mean you're not responsible for helping him. Thou shalt not wrest the judgment of the poor in thy cause. That's similar to the one before. Fair judgments. Keep thee from a false matter, and the innocent and the righteous will slay thee not. For I will not justify the wicked. Thou shalt keep thy far from a false matter, and the innocent and righteous don't slay them. You want the innocent and the righteous to go free. Thou shalt take no gift, for the gift blindeth the wise and perverteth the ways of the righteous. No bribes. Okay? You need justice. Also, thou shalt not oppress the stranger, for you know the heart of a stranger, seeing that you were strangers in the land of Egypt. So you need to take care of the strangers in the land because you know what it's like. 6 years shalt thou sow the land and gather the fruits thereof. But in the 7th year thou shalt let it rest and lie still. And the poor of the people shall eat it, that they leave the beasts of the field, and they shall eat it. In like manner thou shalt deal with thy vineyard and thy olive yard, because 6 days thou shalt do work, and the 7th day thou shalt rest. Thine ox and thy ass may rest, and the son of thy handmaid and the stranger may be refreshed. And in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, make no mention of the name of other gods, let it not be heard out of thy mouth. So a couple things there. Again, same theme. 6 days of work, 7 you rest. 6 years work the field, the 7th it rests. And always, people can come in who are poor and glean out of your field on the corners of your field to help them out. 3 times a year shalt thou keep a feast unto me. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread, where you eat unleavened bread for 7 days, as I commanded thee, in the time appointed in the month of Abib. For in thou camest out of Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. We just heard that one. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labor, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is the end of the year, that thou gathered from thy labors out of the field. 3 times a year all thy males shall appear before the Lord God. Those are the 3 feasts. We'll probably find a little bit more about those other ones later. Thou shalt not offer the blood of the sacrifice with leavened bread, neither shall the fat of my sacrifice remain until morning. The first of the first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring to my house of the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not see a kid in his mother's milk. So there's a lot of thoughts happening here. Obviously, no unleavened bread was sacrificed because it represents sin. So we're getting rid of sin by this. You need to tithe. The first fruits are the best of your land, and you need to bring a portion of that to God. It's the same with money now. You need to be bringing your tithe to God. That's all throughout Scripture. People say, oh, you don't need to tithe. That's just Old Testament. It's in the New Testament too. You're robbing God. You're robbing yourself of a blessing because you're holding on to God's money, and He's going to get it back. If you're having money problems, maybe think, am I tithing? Think about that. You're not allowed to boil a kid in its mother's milk. You were allowed to boil the kid of a goat or lamb, but you had to use different milk than its own mother. Behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions. For my name is in him. For my name. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice, and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies, and an adversary to thine adversaries. So you follow God, he's going to take care of you. The angel is his proxy. So you do what the angel tells you to do, it's going to go well. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice, and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy to thy enemies, and an adversary to thine adversaries. For mine angel shall go before thee, and bring thee into the Amorites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Canaanites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off. Thou shalt not bow down to their gods, nor serve them, nor do after their works, but thou shalt utterly overthrow them, and quite break down their images. And ye shall serve the Lord your God, and he shall bless thy bread and thy water. And I will take sickness away from the midst of thee. There shall nothing cast their young, nor be barren in the land. So you're going to have lots of children, both human children and your animals will be fine. They will not miscarry. And I will send my fear before thee, and will destroy all the people of the land which thou shalt come. And I will make all thine enemies turn their backs to thee, and I will send hornets before thee, and shall drive out the Hivite, and the Canaanite, and the Hittite before thee. And I will drive them out from thee, not in 1 year, lest the land become desolate, and the beasts of the field multiply against thee. By little and little I will drive them out before thee, until thou increase and inherit the land. So he's going to do the things slowly, so that they can take over the land, build up their numbers, and that way they're not overwhelmed with the sheer size of the land God is giving them. And I will set the bounds from the Red Sea even unto the sea of the Philistines, and from the desert unto the river. And I will deliver your inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you shall drive them out before me. So this is way back then. We see the boundaries of the country of Israel, from the Great Sea to the Red Sea, from the desert to the rivers. I mean, we get the picture that Israel was much bigger than their country is now, and they owned it all those years ago. Pretty political. Interesting. And I will deliver the inhabitants out of your land, and shall drive them out before thee. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor their gods. They shall not dwell in thy land, lest they make thee sin against me. For if thou serve their gods, it will surely be a snare unto me. To thee, So, we see the beginning of the law. This is a summary. There's a lot more coming. Like we said, there's over 600 commands. And it's pretty interesting stuff. And we can extrapolate some of the things that they did, we can do now. We're going to have more. Catch you next time.